Hello everyone and welcome to Free Range Diva. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Last year I did a video discussing the disturbing amount of microplastics that was found in sea salt, as well as Himalayan salt and regular table salt. Last year I also switched out my salt and stopped using sea salt and instead started using Redmond real salt, unrefined and sourced from an ancient salt deposit in Utah and almost microplastic free. Microplastics and nanoplastics are small, almost microscopic particles produced when plastic waste breaks down in the environment. In 2021, almost 391 million tons of plastic was produced worldwide. Scientists for years had been concerned about plastic waste showing up in the environment and how much that did or did not impact our bodies and our health. Now we have a good idea thanks to a recent study from a team of researchers across the globe and published a few days ago on February 3rd, 2025. I'm going to link that study down below so that you can read a little bit more about it. Today I want to share with you a little bit of information about how we're exposed to these particles and how we can limit that exposure in our day-to-day lives. Buckle up! There is so much plastic waste in the environment that it now contaminates our soil, our waterways, even the air we breathe, and the food we eat. So the team of researchers that wanted to find out how much of this stuff is inside us were from the University of New Mexico, Oklahoma State University, Duke, and the Universidad del Valle in Colombia. They studied autopsied samples of brain, liver, and kidney tissue, and particularly they wanted to see if there were any changes in the levels since a similar 2016 study came out. They found increasing contamination in all three areas of the body that they looked at, with the brain containing significantly more than the liver or kidney. Now, the liver and kidney are part of your body's detox and elimination system, so I would have thought that there would be more of these particles found there, but no. Instead, they have crossed the blood-brain barrier and they're getting into the brain and they're living there, they're staying there. But in the brain, there was nearly a 50% increase of these shard-like fragments present since 2016. And the amount was about 12 times higher than the liver or kidney. The average brain contained about 5,000 micrograms, which they say is about the weight of this plastic spoon. Now, I took this spoon and weighed it on my kitchen scale and then measured out the same amount of fine salt so that you could see what that would look like in terms of these fragments. This is the amount of salt right here, and I will give you a close-up of this so that you can get the full idea of how much of this stuff is in your brain right now, or in the average brain right now. As researchers are fond of saying, the dose makes the poison. And although these particles can drive diseases and toxic outcomes in test tube samplings, researchers are not yet willing to make a direct link between these particles and, say, dementia, for example. Even though a separate sampling of dementia patients showed even higher amounts of microplastic particles present, up to 10 times more than those not afflicted with this condition. Additionally, the test sampling was relatively small. But if this news is enough to give you pause and maybe make you become more proactive about getting these microplastics and nanoplastics out of your own personal environment, I have a few tips. Now, if I tried to tell you all the ways that these microplastics and nanoplastics are getting into your home as a way of helping you to get them out of your home, this video would be excessively long. It's very complicated because if I didn't say it before, let me say it now. These particles have become ubiquitous in our environment. They are everywhere, even in places where you wouldn't expect them. So what I decided to do was break this down into rooms, and we're going to start by your kitchen, by where microplastics are getting into you through the items in your kitchen. And I only have 5 things, 5 items, or 5 intrusions, for lack of a better word. Oh, and I'm just going to skip over the obvious stuff like switching out your plastic food containers for glass, and definitely never microwaving anything in plastic. So we're going to start with coffee. For those coffee and tea drinkers, we're going to talk about tea too. The first thing that you should do, you can either stop this video now or do it at the end, if you are a coffee drinker, is go and look at your coffee maker. Look inside at the tank where the water storage is. If that tank is plastic, you are heating up water in a plastic environment. That water is then getting brewed into coffee and getting into you. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that whatever heating element or however your coffee maker heats up the water, that is not a plastic element, and that there's no plastic tubing connecting that water to where it comes into contact with the coffee grounds. Again, look at that area where your coffee grounds are being held. Is there plastic there? Again, it's getting heated up, and that's a problem. Because anytime you heat up plastic, it starts to break down. Additionally, most coffee filters on the market are not made of paper. They're made of a mixture of paper and plastic. So you're going to want to look at the filter that you're using. If you think it's hopefully nobody's using bleached filters, but if you think that it's paper, just make sure that it says on the box that it is paper. Now, if you determine that your coffee is being brewed in a plastic environment, what can you do? There are a couple of things. Replace your coffee maker with a percolator. Now, I've used a percolator before and I didn't like it because the amount of coffee that I had to use to get that rich flavor that I like, I felt was excessive. But many people use percolators and swear by them, and most of them on the market are stainless steel through and through. There's no plastic elements to them. So if you happen to have an old percolator, or you happen to see one at a thrift store, or you can find one on sale someplace, then that's one alternative. The other alternative, which is even cheaper, is to get a pour-over coffee brewer. This one was just under $20. This is a ceramic. As you can see, it has 3 holes in the bottom, and you put your filter in here, put the coffee in it, and then just pour the hot water over, and it brews through here. And you sit this on your cup, directly on your cup, so that as the coffee comes out, it ends up in your coffee cup and you're ready to go. This is my second one of these because I broke the first one, and this is all I have now. I used to have a Chemex, a pour-over coffee filter, which is all glass, and it was great. Bodum makes one that's all glass without plastic caps. Make sure that if you get a pour-over that it does not have plastic cap on it. And also a French press is the same. Just make sure that the plunger does not have plastic as part of it, because the one that I used to have did. So you can get them that are all stainless steel. So look for all stainless steel, or in this case, glass or porcelain. And this makes the best coffee. This so surpasses the flavor of my old coffee brewer, which was one of the major brands. I can't remember which one. But the coffee that comes out of here is just so much better. And it's not that much more labor intensive either. It only takes less than a minute to pour the water over it, and then you're done. And make sure that the filter, again, that you're using is a paper filter. For my tea drinkers out there, A large majority of tea bags on the market are made from plastic. If you have something that looks like this, this is plastic, okay? For sure, I know that Numi filters are not plastic, are plastic free. I believe they're made from bamboo. And there are a couple of other brands, but Numi is my favorite. They're my favorite tea. So check out the brand, make sure that your tea you're using, contact customer service, do that. Just make sure that they are not using plastic in their filter, in their tea bags. Or loose tea. This is a loose tea strainer. This is all stainless steel. Here's what it looks like on the inside. Very fine holes throughout this. This brews an awesome cup of tea. I use this all the time. Some come with a little lid like this, so you can keep the water hot while it's brewing. Some don't, but just make sure if it does come with a lid, stainless steel. Okay, so that's all I got for coffee. That's number one. Number two, water bottles. However you get your water, switch out the plastic water bottles for stainless steel. Inside stainless steel. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's stainless steel throughout. There's no lining in here, and this is a great way to carry your water with you wherever you go throughout the day, because the last thing you want to do is put a plastic water bottle in your hot car and leave it there, as you can imagine. So this is cheap. They have the really expensive ones that'll keep your water at a certain temperature all day long, and those are great. Just make sure that the caps are not plastic. Now this does have a silicone cap, which I don't like, but you can get them with stainless steel caps, all stainless steel caps as well. In fact, I have one downstairs that has an all stainless steel cap. So get those plastic water bottles out of your life. Third, cans and canned goods. So the vast majority of cans on the market, whether it's soda cans or food cans, like vegetable cans, canned veggies, tuna, whatever, the vast majority of these cans have plastic liners. No matter if they say they're BPA free, they're still plastic. So if you happen to find unlined cans, and I haven't bought any lately, but the olives that I used to buy from Trader Joe's came in an unlined, not aluminum, stainless steel can. So you might be able to find unlined cans in goods that were manufactured, say, overseas, like in the EU. But otherwise, your soda cans, forget about it. They are lined. So if you cannot find unlined cans, then think about glass jars, glass bottles. And a word about the Tetra Pak. Yes, these are easier on the environment, but they are still plastic. They contain a little bit of plastic, and therefore they do have a little bit of microplastics, but they are at very low levels. And they're usually lower than other types of plastic packaging. But the best way to deal with canned goods is to can your fruits and your vegetables yourself. Now, I know, because I am not the best at canning. I have done it. Like my dad and my grandmother, we had a peach tree. They had jars of peach preserves. We have a fig tree. They made fig jam. I've made fig jam, actually, but for whatever reason, I was never around when they were doing their canning. But yeah, it was like a big thing for the two of them. They would get everything together and they would just can it all at once. And I think if you're going to do it, that's probably the best way to do it, is to buy whatever it is in bulk and then can it all at one time. Same thing with like if you're freezing is another way. Just make sure that what you're freezing in is not plastic. That's a little bit more difficult. But yes, canning is the way to go. If you're experienced at it or if you want to try it, I highly recommend it. It's labor intensive, but if you've got a couple of people working together and can share that labor, it makes the whole thing go a lot faster and a lot easier. Okay, that was number 3 for cans. Number 4, we're going to be talking about microfiber cloths. Yeah, I was shocked to discover that although I love microfiber cloths for cleaning, and I have microfiber cloths for cleaning, microfiber cloths are not made out of cotton, they are made out of plastic. The plastic is spun and woven into these little hook-like things that look kind of nubby, and that's what catches the dirt and the germs and things that microfiber is known for being able to pick up. So the problem is that these fibers can shed, they can come off. And it's particularly when you're washing them in the wash, they can start to shed off microplastics into the waterways, into the water system. And as they degrade, these particles can then release into the air. So, and you breathe it in. So there are ways to kind of mitigate the shedding, washing less, using the gentle cycle, drying on low, because they're also, another way that they're released into the air is in the dryer. So after you've dried them, you open the door, you got it. You get the idea. But otherwise, old cotton t-shirts are probably the best way to go. Old, real cotton t-shirts are a much better option. Old cotton of any kind is going to be a much better option. So I'm not saying throw out your microfiber unless you really want to. I'm going to start throwing out ours, particularly the older, and just use a regular cotton cloth. I have cotton dishcloths and old napkins, like serving napkins. Got a bunch of those. So yeah, there really is no excuse to continue to use microfiber. And there you have it. Okay, and then number 5, let's talk about salt. Yeah, several years ago when the first study came out that found, I forget how many brands of salt that they tested, but they found microplastics in pretty much all of them. And they were looking at sea salt particularly. And as the study continued, they started looking for other types of salt that they thought might not be contaminated. And they found contamination in Himalayan sea salt, as well as just your average old table salt. In fact, in 2018, they did a new study that found 90% of table salt had microplastics in them. This is indicative of how widespread across the world our seas have become. They've become so contaminated that what you're pulling out of the ocean is just, and I don't even think about the fish that are eating this, and then we eat the fish that are eating the microplastics that are in the what? They are ubiquitous in seawater. There are more and more safe brands. When I first heard about this, Redmond salt was like the brand, and I really like the way it tastes and the mineral content as well, so I stick with that. And I actually emailed them about their packaging, and they sent me back a lovely email about they are working on it. They have tried paper and they have trouble keeping the salt fresh because the real salt does not, they don't put any of they're not anticoagulants, what are they? The things that keep, anti-clumping agents. They don't use anything like that. They don't use anything, it's just salt. So they said that they were having trouble with paper, and they asked me if I, as a customer, if I would be okay with spending a little bit more to get my salt in glass. And I said, yeah, I would definitely spend a little more for glass packaging. So they're working on it. There are a few more other brands that I came across as well. Mai, I'll list them. Vera Salt and Salt Werk, probably. There are still places where the salt is microplastic free. There are ways to filter it out, and there are salt companies that are actively trying to get these things out of their products. So that's a really positive sign, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So yeah, if this video is helpful, interesting, I mean, this news just came out. You can like Google news about microplastics and get a lot of articles. All the major media publications are covering this. And so there's going to be, I'm sure, a lot more info coming out. But yeah, if you thought this was helpful, then you can let me know by giving the video a thumbs up, putting something down in the comments, and sharing this video with your friends. And if you think that it's worth it, I will look at other areas in the home. I will look at how you do your laundry, for example, your bedroom. Yeah, there's some sheets that I need to get rid of because I thought they were made out of fiber, like cotton fiber, and they're not. So yeah, if you want some more tips like this, then you can let me know in the comments, or like I said, just give the video a thumbs up. But yeah, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more from me, then please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing here at Free Range Diva. My videos are always fun, usually I try to be, and as well as giving you interesting information that can help with your beauty and wellness goals. So throw me a subscription and I will be forever in your grateful. Okay, everybody, until I talk to you again, I want to wish you a wonderful day, wonderful week. Take good care of yourselves, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye.